AV in your ears, that's Ambush Being, giving you this audio visual down the most interesting street in the world. With my voice, Steve, Fascination Street. You already know, let's get it. When you whip in the Fascination Street, what do you...
This is Bo Donaldson, and you're listening to Fascination Street Podcast.
AV in your ears, that's Ambush Being, giving you this audio visual down the most interesting street in the world. With my voice, Steve, Fascination Street. You already know, let's get it. When you whip in the Fascination Street, what do you...
Welcome back, Streetwalkers. This episode is with Debora Masterson. Debora is the author of the new novel, Freedom Quest, a love story. This is her debut novel. It is roughly 85% true, meaning that it is based on the true life story of her and her soulmate. Some of the names in this book have been changed to protect the innocent and the not so innocent. But this story follows the love between characters Michael and Grace, which are in real life, Debora herself and Craig Ingram, from the mid-1960s until roughly the 2020s or so. This book spans several decades. In this book, there is music, there is love, there is famous people, there is the Vietnam War, there's cults, there's drug busts, there's dancing, there's singing, there's laughter, music, and drugs. There's all the things. Everything that you want in a story is in this book. And lastly, again, most importantly, there's love. A love that spanned decades. So in this episode, we do talk a lot about her debut novel. But we also talk about some other things. We talk about how she got into transcendental meditation and how it helped her and what it helped her with. We talk a little bit about a piece of history that she helped save. Also, we briefly touch on the documentary that her and her late love, Craig, made. It is a documentary about a dear friend who died in Vietnam. This novel also follows the several instances where Craig Ingram almost made it big. And one of those instances was with a band by the same name, Freedom Quest. And wouldn't you know it, there is also a playlist on Spotify, 7 songs from that band, Freedom Quest, recorded back then in the olden times, in the 70s. So there's the book, Freedom Quest, a love story by Debora Masterson. And then there is the companion Spotify playlist, Freedom Quest. Check them both out and find out more about more books that Debora has coming out. The audio version of Freedom Quest, a love story that is in the works, where she's doing live readings and where she does Q&As with and about the documentary that her and Craig made about their friend Bill Perkins. Check it out everywhere where books are sold. Freedom Quest, a love story. And this is my conversation with author Debora Masterson.
Prepare to be fascinated. Prepare to be fascinated. Prepare to be fascinated.
Welcome to Fascination Street Podcast, Debora Masterson. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
It is my pleasure. Debora, what I like to do is I like to start from the beginning. It helps us understand how the guests got from where they were to where they are. So if you don't mind, where were you born and raised? Where'd you grow up?
Well, I was born in Burbank in Los Angeles, in the San Fernando Valley. So I'm a Valley girl, long before Frank Zappa and Moon Zappa and the song and the movie and the for sure stuff. But I do know where the video was actually filmed, right near where I grew up. Sherman Oaks Galleria was where they filmed it, the music video. And maybe the movie, I'm not sure. But anyway, so I grew up in the Valley. The San Fernando Valley back in the day was rural, believe it or not. When I'm not that old, but I mean, we grew up, there were more horses than cars. And we ran around barefoot all day, and there were no fences and dirt roads. And
you got to be careful when you're running around barefoot and there's more horses than cars, because horses put something out that cars don't.
It's so true. No, we didn't have to pick up dog poop either. I remember stepping in dog poop quite often, but there weren't that many dogs and there weren't that many cars. And it was a very idyllic childhood, actually.
My, how the times have changed.
Yeah. If you go to the Valley now, I mean, it's very dense. It's one of the densest parts of Los Angeles.
Why do you think that is?
Oh man. Well, everybody wants to live on the West Coast because of the weather. It was open farmland, etc. And then right after World War II, there was the GI Bill, and so you could buy a house in the valley, great place to raise your kids, and they were selling these half-acre lots with a ranch home on it for like $25,000.
Can I get one? That sounds awesome.
Yeah. And that's how really it started. The population of the valley started right after World War II.
So is that what you had? Did you have like a little ranch home, like your parents, a little ranch home on like a half acre?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So, in the book, Grace lives a quarter mile away from Michael, the love story. And, we both had very similar homes. It was a half acre. Everybody had like little farms. We had fresh eggs in the morning, chickens, and, maybe a goat or two. And
Everybody had this?
yeah, or horses, everybody had horses. I mean, I never had horses, but the horses were next door. So, I could go over there and ride and take lessons and all that.
So you said this was after, like, this all kind of got started after World War II. So were these like victory gardens? Is that what those were?
What do you mean by victory gardens? I mean, I've heard the term, but
Oh, victory gardens were sort of a cost-saving method for Americans either during or right after the war when things were a little harder to get.
yeah.
And so everybody was growing. They called them victory gardens, and the government was the U.S. government was a proponent. They were like, "Hey, everybody, make it easier on you and us."
Yeah, there is kind of a movement now, with neighborhood gardens and things like that. Yeah, I don't remember that term exactly, but yeah, certainly that's what was happening. We were all trying to grow our own food and had our eggs and all that stuff. It was really, really a fun time.
Nice. Did you have two brothers?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So what was the plan for you? Like, I think your dad was a TV exec
Correct.
at one point.
Yeah.
So what was the plan for you? Like, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, my parents put me in dance when I was 6 or 7 years old. They basically did that to make me graceful enough to get a husband.
Is that why you named the character Grace?
Yeah, 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 it could be. I think more because she was kind of like that for Michael. She helped him through his life.
Gotcha.
And interestingly enough, my two brothers got music lessons, but I did not get music lessons because I think they didn't want their only daughter hanging out with musicians. And then ironically, I fell in love with one.
Sure. So you got dance lessons. Did your brothers get dance lessons?
No.
So that's the part of the time period that confuses me because in theory, your parents were like, hey, learn how to dance. That way you can catch a man. But if the men don't know how to dance, who are you dancing with? Like, are you just out there dancing by yourself or what? Like, I don't.
Good question. Yeah, exactly. That's so true. We even had ballroom dancing in classes.
But it was all girls, right?
No.
Oh,
it was,
okay.
it was public school, and we would have we would learn how to do ballroom dancing. I remember that.
Like that was a class?
Yeah, my parents wanted me to do the debutante ball, where you come out, and I was like, absolutely not. I am not doing that. Where you basically have to stand there and that you get judged as to, I just, no way. I was a tomboy, I was running around with the boys.
Well, yeah, you're running around stepping in dog shits.
There you go. And horse poop.
And horse poop, yeah, shoveling that stuff.
Ooh.
But what did you want to be? I know that you took dance lessons, but what was your dream? What did you want to be when you were a little kid?
Good question. I mean, I don't remember, having a dream of what exactly I wanted to be, but I do know that I kept going with dance, and probably by the time I was 12, I knew there were two things that I was passionate about, and that was dance and the French language.
What kind of dance?
Well, I did all kinds pretty much. I jokingly say all kinds except for belly dancing and pole dancing. Because back in the day, pole dancing was only in the stripper clubs, I mean, it was not mainstream. That was not a type of dancing that you could see anywhere.
I wonder if they had classes for it. Like, how do you learn how to pole dance? Are there classes?
There is now. Oh, absolutely, there is now. Yeah. It's mainstream.
So weird.
Yeah, and you need a lot of upper body strength, to do that. I mean, I there's no way that
I'm out.
Yeah,
I can't do it. I'm out.
Mm-mm.
All right, you heard it here, folks. I'm out.
Me too. But I did tap and jazz and ballet. All the regular types of dance.
Did you have a favorite?
I love tap dancing. I love ballet too, but I didn't have the body for ballet. My bones were too big. I was tall. My feet were too big. So I ended up in college. I majored in modern dance. That was a big thing back then. I loved to sing also. I loved music. So I realized that I couldn't really just dance and not have the music component. So I ended up going into musical theater. So, all the way through school, all the way through high school, I was a dance and French major. And then when I got into college, same thing, dance and French. And then after 2 years in college, I decided to take a stab at becoming a professional dancer. So I went into musical theater, full-time doing auditions and all that stuff. So
Did it work?
it did. I had a really fun career.
How long were you a professional dancer?
I started when I was about 23, and I ended right around 29.
With the birth of your first kid?
Yeah, I got married, and, I didn't want to be on the road and trying to do
Sure.
all of that stuff. So I ended up going into teaching aerobics at that point. That was perfect because I could still move. I had free childcare for my kids. I could stay in shape. It fed that performing side of me too, because I could get up in front of a group of students and we could have a good time, and
Plus, it was really popular.
really popular. It was the Jane Fonda era, no pain, no gain. And oh man, yeah, it was really fun.
Leotards and leg warmers.
Yeah, totally,
Listeners, streetwalkers, we are going to talk about Debora's debut novel, which is called Freedom Quest, a love story, but we're not quite there yet because I have questions about transcendental meditation.
Oh.
It is my understanding that, sort of in a roundabout way, you were introduced to transcendental meditation by none other than Jerry Seinfeld. Sort of.
Well, not personally, yes, but it's a great story. And thank you for bringing it up because it's something that I have not had a chance to talk about since the novel came out and all of this wonderful things that are happening. And I appreciate that. So my partner passed away. The love of my life passed away. So he's, spoiler alert, okay, he's the protagonist of the book. Oh, and he died 3 days before the pandemic shut down.
That's crazy.
3 days, yeah. And it was not COVID related, but he had been sick for a while. But about 5 months later.
After he passed?
After he passed, yeah. And, I was all alone and I had started writing the book. I was struggling, I was drinking alcohol a little too much and I was smoking cannabis too much.
What were you drinking?
Wine, white wine,
White wine and cannabis.
And cannabis, yeah. And
it's very California.
Very California, that's right. I was not doing too well. And Michael in the book, Craig Ingram is his real name. Craig and I used to love watching Seinfeld. And we would just laugh. I mean, we could watch the same episode over and over again. We loved it. Anyway, I sit down in front of the TV and I turn on the TV. And this was after Seinfeld and he was pitching his book, Coffee with a Comedian or something like that. Anyway, he was pitching his book. And I remember saying to myself, wow, he looks happy. I don't know why that popped into my head, but it was just a thought I had. Wow, he looks happy. Well, 3 or 4 days later, I see him again. He's making the round, pitching his book. And I think it was David Letterman goes, Jerry, wow, you look happy. And I went, bah, same exact, you look happy. And he goes, it's TM, man. And then he explained, and all I remembered from TM was the Beatles.
Yeah, just the hippie version of TM, yeah.
The hippie version of TM, and going over to India and all that. And so I had remembered it from that. But I don't know, it just struck me and I'm like, I got to do this. And I immediately picked up the phone, called the local center. I think that weekend I was learning TM.
Well, hold on, there was a local center?
There was a center right in the valley, yes. So the process, you have to learn one-on-one with a teacher. So I went to this center and I was given this gentleman, Jim Mead, and he talked me through the process. I think it's a 4-day learning process. So I think they're consecutive. You have to do them all together. And the first 2 days I learned, went home, came back. And then the second 2 days was in a group. It immediately just was wonderful. It'll be 6 years in October 10th, that I've been meditating. And it's 20 minutes twice a day.
And this is something you still do?
I still do, yeah. And it's helped me in a number of ways, yeah.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors.
Beneath a dead world, humanity's last survivors live in Subterra, I care about one thing, keeping Subterra's power uninterrupted. If Subterra goes dark, we are doomed.
A buried city of chipped citizens, forgotten miners, and those who have never seen the sun.
You took a big risk coming here.
I didn't have a choice.
Go back home, girl. You'll get killed down here. Or worse.
But in the lower levels, the unchipped have become invisible, and invisibility breeds rebellion.
We want justice for our dead!
You will learn to obey.
When a rigged trial ignites the darkness, a blind orphan, a bunker princess, and a rebuilt combat robot are thrown into a fight that could change everything.
Fellow citizens of Subterra, you are here to witness the adjudication of an unchipped bunker orphan known as Ace.
You want me to lie?
I want you to help me clear your name.
By blaming Ace for something he didn't do? He's innocent. And you're gonna kill him.
What I have set in motion will change this place forever. There will be a new order in Subterra, and it will not be kind to people like you.
No. I'm staying here.
Stay here, then. Stay and die.
Because underground, hope doesn't disappear. It survives.
Let the battle begin!
Advance!
Defend your home! Defend your brothers and sisters!
Subterra.
Available now. Download wherever you find podcasts.
Let's get back into it.
So you literally saw Jerry Seinfeld talking about it on probably David Letterman, and then because he looked so happy, you were like, you know what? I'm in a place where this is something that might help. And then you got into it right then?
Yeah. And it was that thing where I said to myself, this thought came into my head. He looks happy. And then, 3 or 4 days later, David Letterman said, man, you look happy. And I'm like, whoa, this was a synchronicity moment that I felt. There was a message there for me.
And this helped with your depression? Did you feel like you were depressed at the time?
I don't know if I would have called
maybe
it
just
depression.
sad?
I was in grief, grief.
Yeah, sure.
Major grief. I mean, this, love of my life, and we lost track of each other and then got back together again. I mean, he's my soulmate, he's right up there. I still feel his presence, and the book is about him.
Sure. Well, the book is about him and you guys and the relationship and some other things.
Yeah.
So, Debora, you wrote this book, Freedom Quest, A Love Story. This is your debut novel, and Streetwalkers, it celebrates the music, dreams, and love story behind a 1970s band that almost made it. Now, the name of the book, Freedom Quest, is the name of the band in question, but when I was reading this book, by the way, thank you to Philip and to you.
Thank you. Yeah.
I believe it is page 14. It's really early in the book. Grace, which is basically you. Grace and Michael are having a conversation over some ice cream, and Grace's dad walks in, and then they're talking about Buddhism and religion and things like that. It was this conversation that I thought the book was named after. I had no idea that was that Freedom Quest was the name of the band. So this conversation, they're talking about Buddhism, Hinduism, and a sense of freedom. And then Grace kind of argues that maybe freedom isn't the ultimate goal, like that it's maybe happiness. And so then I was like, oh, so this book is a quest for the freedom / happiness of this Grace and Michael love story. But then I kept reading and I was way off. So
no, but that's true. No, but that's absolutely true. It's both, I think. I mean, why did Michael name the band Freedom Quest? I had to ask myself that question because I knew that was going to come up. What is freedom? Why was the band named Freedom Quest? That's a huge loaded word, right? It's got so many connotations. And I think, you have to kind of look at it in the context of the period. There was this huge cultural upheaval happening in the late 60s and 70s due to the fact, for example, that women got birth control for the first time. So suddenly they were free to be able to have sex and have very little concern whether or not they would get pregnant or not. It's like birth control pill is 98% effective.
Sure.
So for the first time, women were free to experiment. And, that's where that free love, all that free love idea came in, right? Also, psychedelics came into the picture. They were discovered in 1952, 53, but they stayed behind the doors of therapists and doctors and were being used very effectively for depression and alcoholism and PTSD, etc. But then it broke through. And all of a sudden, it was mainstream and everybody was taking psychedelics. And, I don't know if you've ever taken psychedelics, but, it really opens up your mind. I mean, there is a major shift. They understand now what it does in your brain, the scientific effects of it. And it actually is coming back now as an effective tool for alcoholism, depression. It doesn't take more than what they're finding, more than one experience to absolutely change you.
Really?
Yeah, there's just a book that came out, not just came out, Michael Pollan, Pollan, wrote a book, I just read it, called How to Change Your Mind, The History of Psychedelics. I lived through it, but I learned a lot. So it's coming back as an effective way to deal with some of these issues. The problem was it got out into the mainstream and everybody was taking it as if it was marijuana or something. And it's such a powerful experience. So anyway, so there was that. There was birth control. Then there was the Vietnam War, and there were all the issues behind that as to whether should we really be over there. And, African Americans were fighting for freedom and coming back and realizing they didn't have it at home. So it was a huge cultural revolution at the time. So that, I think if you look at the title of the book in that time period, it makes sense. What is freedom? What are we fighting for? The Vietnam War is a pivotal moment, when his friend Bill Perkins dies. So there was all that stuff going on,
So this book is mostly a true story, but there's a little bit of liberties taken, artistic license or whatever. What would you say is the percentage of truth?
I'm guessing about 85%. A lot of it is true. And I can't wait for people to start asking me specific questions, now that people are starting to read the book, right? It's like, well, is this part true? Well, is this part true? And then the author's note in the beginning also, all of this happened a long time ago, or most of it, right?
Sure. So there's the memory caveat, right?
Right. And then there's also a lot of the stories were told to me secondhand. So, are those real? Are those true? I mean, and everybody's got their own perception of what happens.
Sure.
So I'm really glad that we decided to call it a novel based on a true story for those reasons. And then there's some things that happen in the book, some people that were in the book probably wouldn't want that, brought up.
Names are changed to protect the innocent and the guilty.
There you go. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this book, Freedom Quest: A Love Story, it is on Atmosphere Press, and it came out on April 21st, 2026. It's available everywhere. Go get it all over the places. Is there a place where people can get an autographed copy?
Yeah. Paperback copy signed. They can go to my website, and there's a place right at the bottom. If they scroll down the book page, it says to request a signed copy, and they can Zelle or PayPal.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And that's DeboraMasterson.com, no H?
No H on Deborah, yeah.
Well, to be fair, there's also no H in Masterson.
The original music is streaming.
It is. We're going to get to that in a second.
Okay, yeah.
This book, Freedom Quest: A Love Story, do I have this correct? The original title was Crazy Love?
Oh, I went through about 6 or 7 titles.
Oh, cool.
I think the first title was Fate. And then there was, for a brief period of time, Bum Monk.
Okay, I can see that based on some of the stories that happened. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, based on Craig Ingram, right? Michael, Bum Monk. There was the story of Michael and Grace. I struggled. Funny stories. So I think I'm already signed the contract with Atmosphere Press.
Which they're out of Austin, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Not far from me.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So I'm way down the road. One of my friends had read the book. She was giving me notes. So we were on the phone together and she had sent me over the notes. So we were having a discussion. At the end of the discussion, she goes, well, and you know what your title is, don't you? And I'm like, no, I'm having so much trouble. I had scanned all of the songs, that Craig Ingram, Michael had written. And I was looking for a song lyric or a song title or something like that. And she goes, you know what your title is? Freedom Quest, the name of the band. I'm like, oh my God. Yes, that's so perfect. I mean, it's just like flash, for a couple of reasons. Okay, first of all, This story spans over 50 years, right? So it is an odyssey. So that quest part helps, explain that, right? It's an odyssey.
It's an epic.
It's an epic. Yeah. And then, this idea of freedom, which was a big thing, back then.
That is amazing. I like that story. Oh, real quick. Were you actually able to save the oldest house in North Hills, California?
Yes.
You were? Good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wow.
Tell me that story.
Oh my goodness. You've done your homework. I love it. So I'm trying to remember why. I was doing research about the neighborhood and I stumbled on this website, and it was a website that basically identified all of the historic places in Los Angeles. It was run by Los Angeles Conservancy or something like that. Down at the end of the block, I could walk out to the middle of the street, look down and see the house. I'd lived right there my whole life. Since I was 3 years old, I was right there in that neighborhood. And I did not know this. And so they had done the research and discovered that this was the oldest house in the town of North Hills. Used to be Sepulveda, but it's North Hills, the town of North Hills. And I was like, I got to save this. Craig had already passed away. I was living in his family home, and I was a quarter mile away from my family home, but my parents had sold it earlier. And I just felt like I had to do this. It was a legacy thing that I had to do. So I started this 2-year campaign to save the house. I started an organization, and I had like 50 or 60 members, and we were petitioning the city. We did it. It was awarded through the Conservancy that the house is now identified as the historic house in the city of Los Angeles. And you can see it. It's on the list and everything.
What were you saving it from? Were there bulldozers coming down the street? What's going on?
Well, there was major development happening right next door.
Okay.
And we knew it was just going to continue right down the block. They want to get rid of all of these half-acre old ranch homes and put in big buildings or, apartment buildings or 9 homes. I've seen that happen, 9 homes on a half acre. We knew that was coming. So the whole neighborhood got together and was fighting it. But unfortunately, the owner, who I had a meeting with and asked him, please, work with us. And we had a vision. We were going to create a pocket park, and we were going to have the historic house, and I was going to form a nonprofit organization, and we were going to run the historic house. And I had a blueprint because I was on the board of the San Fernando Valley Preservation Organization. So, all of it was in place. But the owner decided to sell to a charter school for more money. And the charter school can't tear down the house, but it is now behind gates, behind the charter school. So no one will ever be able to visit it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What a wild ride that was. I got all excited, and then I did not get excited when I left that story. Oh, man.
Very sad.
No wonder you were drinking. That sounds rough.
Yeah. I left the neighborhood. I moved to Chicago.
Okay, but before that, and this isn't a crazy sentence that I'm about to say here. Tell me about that one time where you had dinner with Jesse Jackson and Sammy Davis Jr. cooked it.
Yeah.
What is happening right now? I need to know this story. What?
Yes. So I had the great honor and was very fortunate to be hired on a musical with Sammy Davis Jr. starring. It was called Sammy Stops the World in 1978. So it was towards the end of my career. We started in San Diego. It was a tour. It was a 4-month tour. We started in San Diego, went to LA, went to Chicago, and finally New York City, danced at Lincoln Center.
Ooh.
And it was amazing. So Sammy had an apartment in Chicago. And when we got to Chicago, he invited all of us over to his apartment. It was right by the water tower downtown on a high rise.
Was it a big apartment?
Yeah, it was really nice.
You're all, Steve, it's Sammy Davis Jr. Of course it was a big apartment.
Of course. And it was his little pied-a-terre in Chicago. And he had a beautiful, I went to his home also in Los Angeles, which was epic, huge, sprawling in Beverly Hills. But yeah, he actually cooked. He actually was in the kitchen making pasta for us, along with his entourage, helping him out. And it was mind-blowing evening, Jesse Jackson. And
just to be a fly on the wall, much less a guest at the dinner. That's amazing.
There were only 11 of us in the cast. So, it was a small cast. We were all real close. It was amazing.
Were you tap dancing? What were you doing with the show?
No, it was more jazz and singing. So, we were part of the chorus behind him.
Okay.
And Marion Mercer was the female lead. There's actually a video of the song, Gonna Build a Mountain from a Little Hill. Gonna build a mountain. Think I know I will. Anyway, Sammy's singing and we're dancing behind him. And it was, one of those typical musicals, great musical. And there is a video of that song up on YouTube.
On the YouTubes?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors.
Hey, Streetwalkers. Now there's an official Fascination Street podcast Patreon. The episodes are just as deep, but a whole lot more fascinating. On the Fascination Street Patreon, we're keeping it simple. There is only one tier. No confusion, no levels, no upsells, just one way in. For $5 a month, you'll get every episode ad-free. No interruptions, no distractions, which gives you a more direct connection to the show. And also, there's a place to hang out with fellow streetwalkers and be part of the community on Patreon. If you love the stories, the conversations, and the vibe of Fascination Street Podcast, this is the best way to support it and get even more out of it. No tiers, no ads, just $5 and you're in. Welcome to the inner circle. $5, no ads, that's it. Patreon.com/Fascination Street Podcast.
Let's get back into it.
Okay, now let's talk a little bit more about this book. Grace and Michael, which is basically you and Craig. Now, when you get older, it doesn't matter as much. But when you're younger, there's like a 4-year age difference?
3.
3, okay. So it's a 3-year age gap with the female protagonist of the story being like 15 years old.
Right.
How big of a deal was this at the time, assuming that that's at least partly true?
Yeah, it is. I was 15 when I met him, and he had just graduated from high school, so he was 18. A big deal. Now, not as big as it is now, though, because you could go to jail for that, although I must say he was a gentleman.
According to the book, he was a gentleman for several years.
Yeah, but it was a big deal. I mean, my parents weren't happy with the situation, not only the age, but also the fact he was a musician, At the beginning, it was great. He was short-haired. What changed him, I think, was when Bill Perkins died, in the Vietnam War in 1967. He was so angry that his best friend had died. He really changed. He went from a short-haired, good Catholic boy to a raging, protesting...
Raging?
Yeah. Long-haired, writing protest songs and just really angry. So my parents, of course, they were scared of him, I think, at that point. But at the beginning, just like in the book, at the beginning, I mean, he would come over and we'd play music. Dad played piano, my mom sang, my brothers played guitar, It was real nice. And then, in the book, they found out that we had sex and the whole thing blew up. And that's true. All of that is true.
How accurate is the depiction or the representation of your parents?
Yeah, that's a good representation.
It is. So Grace's mother has maybe some issues that Grace was not fully on board with. Those are fairly accurate.
Yeah.
Did it ever come up? Did they ever mention that turning point in Craig's life?
My parents?
Yeah, because, they loved this dude.
At the beginning, right. Yeah.
Yeah, at the beginning, he's over all the time.
Everything changed, shattered.
Did they ever mention that the turning point, that all of a sudden he was kind of a different guy or they felt differently about him? That never came up?
No. And that, I think, something of the times, that generation, there were a lot of things that were not discussed, the elephant in the room. And there was a lot of things that my parents just never talked about, shoved under the rug or didn't want to go there. No confrontation, etc.
In the book and also in real life, Craig comes into the picture because one of your brothers is looking for a guitar teacher. And Michael, Craig, notices a bandage. And all he says is, my sister did this, We never know what he did. I mean, what you did. What is wrong with this kid's arm? What'd you do?
Oh, well, no, he says, we were chasing each other around the house and I ran through the back door and turned around and held it.
Oh, that's
my hand was on the glass.
Okay, yeah, okay.
And he puts his hand through the glass and he's still got a giant scar on his arm. Yeah. So yeah, when Craig heard that, Michael, he's like, oh, I got to meet her. She sounds like a crazy.
She sounds violent. Let's go meet her.
Yeah, right. I want to meet her, right? It's like, yeah. Yeah. Well, I think just the big sister part was enough for him,
Sure. Absolutely. So throughout the course of this book, I'm definitely not going to spoil this book, but this book goes all over the place. It follows the character of Michael, Craig, all over the country. And there's some crazy things that happen in some different states and whatnot, and some things that happen. This guy gets really, really close more than once to some musical acclaim. Mm-hmm. And then various things happen where that is kind of snatched away from him, right? Like just right out of his fingertips.
Yeah.
As he's telling you these stories when you guys got back together, because some of this you weren't around for, so, like you mentioned earlier, you're getting these stories from him. What was your reaction while he's telling you some of these stories? And were you writing them down at the time, or were you just remembering them?
Towards the end of his life, he had wanted to write a story, so he started dictating to me. But he could play guitar, but he couldn't type, so I started typing them up. Luckily, I had the earlier stuff, like before I met him. So his elementary school and, at 14, he went into the seminary and, so all of that, I had all these stories, not all of which I could put in the book, but so that was nice. There was a lot of context there. So I had that. And then, of course, when I first got back with him, one of the first things he shared with me was his cult experience, the religious cult.
Did that cult have a name?
Not really. What was it? The significance. They called it the significance.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. It's not in the book, but there's a fair amount of stuff online. One of the daughters of the cult leader actually did a documentary. My father is a cult leader. That's online. You can stream it on YouTube. So when I got back together with him, that was one of the first things he shared with me was this period of his life. It was about 3 years where he got involved in this religious cult in Hawaii. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, how can you fall for that? I don't get it. You're super intelligent, super talented, the life of the party. I mean, I couldn't figure it out. And actually, interestingly, when I started having what they call beta readers, so these are like professional writers that are reading your book, I kept getting this note, I can't believe that Michael went into a cult. So I had to really dig deep, which was very, very difficult. But the cult leader had insisted that he keep journals. So I had these journals from that period of time.
It's amazing.
I still have them. They're right behind me. It was painful. I mean, it was really, really painful because he lost his mind. I swore that there must have been psychedelics involved, that this guy must have been feeding the cult members psychedelics because the writing, and I quote some of the journal entries in the book. And they're nuts. I mean, they're crazy. Michael had lost his mind totally. So, I did a lot of research, a lot of reading, a lot of digging deep on how did he get involved. I had to be able to make it, truth is stranger than fiction, right? People weren't believing that he would go into a cult, so I had to make it sound true. It was true, but I had to make it believable to the reader.
Yeah, because if you, as the person who knows this guy in real life, if even you are like, how is this even possible? Then trying to put that into, words that a complete stranger would believe it. Yeah, that's got to be that's a mountain.
Exactly. So, I came to the conclusion, and I think, people who have had the experience or had friends, family or whatever experiences with cult, they work the same way. First of all, Michael, Craig Ingram, was in a very vulnerable place. So he was at the lowest of the low moments in his life. I had left him, the band had broken up, the record deal fell apart. One of his friends said, come on, man. He had gained weight. He wasn't playing any music. He was just like hibernating in his bedroom. And one of his friends said, come on, let's move to Hawaii. So he sold all of his music equipment except one guitar and took off. and, met this guy on the court, and the guy started asking him all these questions about himself, and he was an open book. Oh, I was in the seminary. I was a good Catholic boy. Love of my life left me. Biggest regret of my life. The band broke up. I was trying to get a record deal. It fell apart, blah, blah, blah. And so this guy, I call him Emir in the book, used all of that against him. For example, the first time he invites him over to the house, the cult leader is living in a gated estate at the foot of Diamond Head. So, you kind of think the guy is for real if he's like, living in this sumptuous place. Well, he was the caretaker, but he didn't let Michael know that. Michael walks in, and there's all these photos on the wall, and he says, oh, this is a photo of me and the Pope is giving me an award for all the orphanages that we take care of in Southeast Asia. Well, Craig was adopted. Hits right home, right? Oh, he's taking care of orphanages. Oh, my goodness. So he's like pulling him in, right? And he's got guitars. He says, oh, I used to work, and he started dropping names of people, oh, yeah, I was on tour with blah, blah, blah. And all of it was a lie. And he started saying, look, I can get you a world tour. We're going to pay for a national tour. You're going to be the headliner and blah, 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 and all this other, He had a baby grand piano overlooking Honolulu Bay. Craig had nothing. He didn't even have a car. It was kind of easy for him to fall into that.
Wow.
And then subtle, slow mind manipulation through sleep deprivation and food deprivation. But it happened slowly. It built and built and built. If you remember, he started telling him he needed to go to this one payphone and wait for the call. First time, it was a short period of time he waited, and the call came in right at the right time, and blah, blah, blah. And then slowly, it got to the point where one night he fell asleep next to the payphone waiting for the phone to ring.
That's wild.
Woke up in the morning.
That is manipulation of the highest order. That's crazy.
And there was physical abuse, too.
Great. Sounds awesome. In the book and in real life, you and Michael, or Grace and Michael, you and Craig, you guys worked together for what, like 7 years at the beginning?
7 years.
And then you guys broke up, kind of went your separate ways for how long? 30 years?
26 years.
26.
26 years, yeah.
And then through what can only be described as kismet, you guys got reunited in one of the craziest ways ever, which I'm not going to spoil. I want people to read this book, that's why.
Oh, yeah. All right.
And then how long did you guys get to spend together before his passing?
20 years.
That's amazing. So you guys were together for 7, not together for
26.
26, and then together for 20 more years. So at least on paper, with a calculator, you were together longer than you were apart.
Oh, I never even thought of that before. Thank you for that, Steve. I love that.
Barely, but hey, it counts.
Yeah. Wow. I love that.
Well, I love that for you. Ladies and gentlemen, again, Freedom Quest, a love story. It is available everywhere, but you don't want an ebook version. Nobody likes that. That's dumb. You should go to DeboraMasterson.com and scroll down and get an autographed paperback sent to you. And where it says, what do you want me to write in this book? Just have it right that you heard her here on Fascination Street. Come on now.
All right.
Also, on Spotify, there is a playlist, and the name of the playlist, I believe the name of the playlist is Freedom Quest, right? It's the name of the band?
Mm-hmm.
And is it 7?
Yeah. Seven songs. Yeah.
Now, some of these songs are like 8 minutes long and crazy. Like most of them are really long. So it's a definite good bit of time that you're going to get to enjoy this band. And these are all real songs, all recorded back then. This is the real deal. This is the band that almost made it.
Mm-hmm.
And you were part of this band?
I was a background singer.
And you're in the picture, right? The picture of the band?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Was there 11 people in that picture? Like, there were so many people.
Well, actually, yeah, at the picture that I think you're talking about, it next to the tree, around the tree,
mm-hmm.
It had 2 roadies there, too. But the band itself was 9 members. So it was flute, violin, percussion, drums, bass and guitar, and 3 background singers.
It's definitely a bookmark in time where when you're talking about a rock band, you utter the word flute.
Jethro Tull. you know?
Definitely of its time.
Yeah,
That is so rad.
that's right.
Now, when you said that there are a couple of roadies in that picture, neither one of those people is the bad roadie, right?
One of them is, I think.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but I don't know his name.
Well, hey, I know his name. His name is Piece of Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, the of might be silent, but yeah, it's Piece of Shit. That's him. You know what? He might be Irish. It's Piece o' Shit. That's what it is. It's Piece o' Shit. That guy sucks.
I know.
Streetwalkers, you're definitely going to have to read this book to at least find out what is wrong with this piece o' shit. That guy sucks. That guy's the worst. Debora, tell everybody where they can find you on social media and where they can find more about the book and the music.
Yeah, go to my website, DeboraMasterson.com. Again, it's Debora without an H, Debora, Masterson.com. And up at the top is all the social media, and then all the events are listed and more. The documentary, we didn't get a chance to mention the documentaries. We made this incredible documentary after Craig and I got back together again during the 20 years that we were together the last time.
Now, this documentary is about Bill Perkins' life, and he's the only photographer awarded the Medal of Honor. Is that right?
Yes.
And this documentary actually has actual footage and photos that were shot by Bill. Is that correct?
Right. Yes.
Okay,
exactly.
cool.
Yeah.
And it's available where? Like everywhere?
Amazon Prime and Apple TV.
Okay. It's not crazy long, right? It's 35 minutes, something like that?
30 minutes. It's only 30 minutes, yeah. Generally, what I do when I do a live screening is I'll do a Q&A with veterans afterwards. We actually have one coming up here in Chicago at the Public Library, and I'm going to have local veterans with me to discuss the Vietnam War.
Gotcha. That's crazy. Those dates are on your website as well?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. All right, cool. I'm sorry. You were saying other places where people can find your things?
Oh, yeah. No, everything is on the website. That's the best place to go.
So will that website, does it have a clickable link to the Spotify playlist?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Or people can, I guess, just go to Spotify and search Freedom Quest.
Yeah, what I think is, they tend to have to put in Craig Ingram's name also, because Freedom Quest, I don't know if that'll just work now. It depends on how many hits, like there's been more hits now, so maybe they'll be able to find it, but they might have to start typing in Craig, Craig, Ingraham, Ingraham, Ingram, the English spelling, but the link, you can click right on it. And then, of course, it's on Amazon Music, Apple Music, wherever. I mean, you can find it everywhere. So, but yeah.
I love that.
And there's actually a couple of Craig Ingram songs in the documentary, too. Over the credits is a song that he wrote actually many years before we got to make the documentary. So he had this idea to make a documentary, but then I came back into his life, and I actually was running a talent agency at the time, and I was representing crew. So I was able to help him put the crew together, and I produced it all by my little lonesome. I did everything.
That's wild.
And he directed it.
Also, there's an audiobook in the works. Is that correct?
In the works, yeah. I'm working on it. That's right here in my audio studio.
I love it. So you're reading this thing.
Yeah, I think so.
I like it when it's read by the author. I think it gives a little more personality.
Yeah, a lot of people have said, I think you should do it. And so, I did some samples. I sent them out to some professionals, people that I know. And, most people were giving me good, positive feedback. It's a big job.
Yeah, it's a lot of words. Yeah.
A lot of work.
For sure.
So it's slowly forming, and hopefully have that in a couple of months.
Again, keep going back to her website, because I'm sure that when that is available, the website will be the first to know.
Yeah.
But Debora Masterson, author of the debut novel, your debut novel. How cool are you?
Thank you.
Freedom Quest, a love story with illustrations by Mary Quinlan as well. Again, it is Atmosphere Press, available everywhere. I dig it. It's roughly 85% is a true story.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some crazy names in here that have not been changed because they didn't do anything wrong.
There you go.
So everybody go check out this book for real. Debora, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out and let us get to know you a little bit better on Fascination Street. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your podcast. It's a great topic, I think.
Thank you. I had a blast getting to know you a little bit better.
Oh.
I've been reading your words for a few weeks now, and it was great to finally put a face with these words, and it was a pleasure to meet you.
It's been a pleasure to be here. Thanks so much, Steve.
Thank you. You have a great rest of your week.
All right. You too.
Bye-bye. Opening music is from the song FSP Theme, written, performed, and provided by Ambush Vin. Closing music is from the song Kosh, written, performed, and provided with the blessings of Kosh Mojo himself. If you like the show, tell a friend. Subscribe and rate and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts. All episodes are available ad-free at patreon.com/Fascination Street Podcast. And don't forget to follow the show on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, and TikTok. And again, thanks for listening.